Hello again, and welcome to Full Tuck, the Wingspan podcast with me, Aidan.
And me, Adam.
So, Adam, welcome back.
Thank you very much. Nice to be back.
Yeah. So, how's your week been?
Yeah, it's been good. Lots of spans this week.
I know, hasn't it?
Have you had a few spans as well?
Certainly have,
For the listener, we were both at a wedding this weekend, and we all took a copy of Wingspan down, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then we had to drive back up.
We did.
Realising that we brought, three copies of the nesting box down to...
3 of the nesting box in cars. And in
to
fact,
Somerset.
it actually led to some packing difficulties on the drive back, didn't
Yeah, on the way
it?
back. Yeah, I had to get in your car, and we had to give all of the bags to our friends.
Yeah, crazy, but fully worth it. Worth it.
Of course,
it's been a great week for it.
Yeah, it's been a great week. We played a game with 2 games actually with one of our friends who's only played twice before, and I love playing with new starters when they get it. You know, like the penny drop moments, or they do a really good play. I absolutely love that because you sort of see the wheels turning or the cogs turning in their head. So it was good. How were your games?
Good. So we, I was staying just with Ellie, my partner, so we just had a series of 2-player games.
I heard it was quite close.
Yeah, so each game came down to like 2 or 3 points, which is actually becoming a bit of a theme with Ellie and I.
Oh, that's nice.
It's really good. I feel like the last kind of series of times we played, I can't remember a time when neither of us has kind of done okay in the end. It's all been pretty close games. So I think we played 5 games over the weekend, and Ellie won 3 and I won 2. So it's been a quality weekend.
Yeah.
Really got me back in the swing of it.
Did it really? Yeah. And to be fair, with being back in the swing of it, what have you thought about the news this week about the fan expansions?
Oh, it's music to my ears. There's been
it's too much content to wrap my ears around.
Hasn't it? And do you know what? It's a bit unlike Stonemaier. I've had a feel over the. I mean, when's the last time? When did Asia come out?
Stonemaier Shade.
Can you remember?
About 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was over 2 years. Was it 2 years?
About 2-ish.
Yeah. So anyway, it came out a while ago. It's been a while, and I felt that Stonemaier they're really good for kind of interaction with fans, with keeping everyone up to date with where games expansions are up to. But I felt they've had a real focus on some of the spin-offs of Wormspan, Finspan. Wormspan's got a new expansion coming out, which is brilliant. And their attention's been there, and I've almost felt like that chart they always have of where expansions are up to, and I felt like this latest Wingspan expansion's been there, but at the early stages for ages. So
You've fallen for it, haven't you? They wanted you to think that they're not doing anything.
I know.
And in the background, they've been making 6 fan expansions.
It's brilliant. Yeah. I'm a sucker for it, and I love it.
Yeah.
It's music to my ears.
We should actually talk about it later on in the podcast. We weren't going to, but at time of recording, they've announced. Well, Jamie's teased 3 of the 6, hasn't he, so far? We'll see how much time we have at the end, and then we'll get onto it, because there's a lot to unpack. There's a lot of content, a lot.
In which case, let's crack on with this episode. So what are we doing today, Adam?
Today, we are going over the 0 point bird starting conundrum that I presented you with last week, and we've absolutely loved your feedback, which we can talk about when we get onto it. I'm looking forward to that one. Then we are going to combine our stats and bird of the week. Remember I spoke to you about we're going to talk about the lowest win percentage bird in the game, which is going to be a surprise to you, I think, and to maybe many of the listeners as well. Then actually we got an excellent idea from you, so I'll let you tell me about your baby.
So it's not so much a specific bird, but more a set of powers that I wanted to have a look at this week. Bird powers, which are teal powers that are if you've used all 4 actions this round, and we can dive into that a bit later on.
If you've listened to all 4 episodes so far, play another bird. Ooh. Lovely stuff. And then if we've got time, should we get onto this expansion, mate?
Yeah, I think that'd be lovely.
Lovely stuff. So, onto this opening hand then.
Yeah. What did you think? We obviously for those who didn't manage to tune in last time, it was one of Adam's ideas that we have a look at an opening hand of purely 0 point birds. As to what you do, and I suppose it really was born out of a thought of like, are 0 point birds poor birds, or are they birds that you would naturally ignore? Or do you more look at the powers, I guess? So go on, talk me through it.
So 3-player game, we're going second, and I'll rattle through the birds. First is Ruddy Duck. When activated brown power, draw 2 cards. If you do, discard 1 from your hand at the end of your turn. Second is the Budgerigar. That's another brown one activated power. When activated, tuck the smallest bird in the tray behind this bird. Third bird is the Rock Pigeon. When activated brown power, all players lay 1 egg. You lay 1 additional egg. Fourth bird is the Oriental Magpie-Robin, which is a round N or teal power, and that is for every 3 eggs in your fire, grasslands, gain 1 witch to grub or wheat from the supply. You may cash up to 2 of these on this bird. And lastly is the Black Redstart, which is a 3 food cost bird for 0 points, round N teal power. Choose a habitat with no eggs, lay 1 egg on each bird in that habitat. Then your bonus cards. Backyard Birder. Birds worth less than 4 points. The irony is not lost on me. And the second is the Oologist, which is birds that have at least 1 egg laid on them. And then I'll finish off this absolute mouthful with end of round goals. Round 1, birds with no eggs on them. Round 2, cherries and wheats in food cost of your birds. Round 3, birds with tuck cards. Round 4, cubes on player bird.
Yeah, there you go. I think we'll...
and the tray, actually, because that's really going to influence what we do.
So the trade this week, I'm sure the eagle-eyed of you, no pun intended there, would have picked up that the...
There's no eagle. There's no eagle in the tray.
The tray had some very, very nice birds. So Udin's Gull, a fan favourite certainly within our circles.
Yeah, just quickly, Udin's Gull, brown power when activated, draw 2 from the deck, tuck 1 behind this bird and keep the other. The second is the Wild Turkey, which is just a white power, but it's worth 8 points, so it's a no powers. And last, Grey Butcherbird, brown when activated, power, look at a card from the deck. If the wingspan is less than 40 centimetres, tuck that bird behind this card and also cash a rat on there. So, Aidan, lots to think about.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
So, it's interesting. Do you know what? I'll start this week by having a look at some of the comments from fans that we've had. So,
okay.
In particular, Simon, thank you for getting in touch. The one you highlighted as being a real powerful one in that tray is the Budgerigar.
Interesting.
So interesting. So, and I think we're both probably on the same page in not that wouldn't have occurred to us anyway. So it's interesting that you've said that, and we've had another fan, Paul, who's a regular commenter. So thank you very much for that, Paul. Who's also gone for the Budgerigar in his starting hand.
Really interesting. We've actually also had a comment on Imgur. Apparently we get comments on Imgur these days as well, from a person called Mer1Stem, who has said they are going to keep the Ruddy Duck, the Budgerigar and the Black Redstart, which looks like similar to what most people are doing.
Yeah, that's what Paul's doing. Yeah. And then, Simon has gone for the Budgerigar and the Ruddy Duck, so he's dropped the Redstart. So, what would your approach be out of interest?
Interesting. I've asked you what your approach would be. Okay. You spun it back on me.
I'll answer.
I'm happy to go, but are you...
No, that's fine.
Why are you skirting around the question?
I know exactly what my
go on, you're going to build a water chain. That's what you're going to do. So how are you going to manage that?
So my thought process...
You're going second, remember?
Yes, no, I know. So my thought process is... there's no birds here for me that are good, strong birds to live in the forest. So usually when I see that in a starting hand, my strategy is keep as few birds as possible, keep as much food as possible, try and play a water bird, and then look to pick up a forest bird.
Yeah.
And so the obvious bird that fits that is the Ruddy Duck. And then I think, how am I going, if I want to keep any other bird, I've got to really justify it.
Yeah.
And I think actually, to me, the best bird in that hand is the Black Redstart.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt.
So I'm keeping the Black Redstart, I'm keeping the Ruddy Duck, I'm keeping the Oologist because it fits with the Black Redstart extremely nicely.
Yeah.
And my first play is going to be, look, Udin's Gull is a great bird. You can't assume it's still going to be in the tray if you're going second.
No, it's going
to
go.
I'm going to probably play the Ruddy Duck, and then you with your first, with your second go, you get to pick up 4 cards and have a look at them, and only discard ones, which is a nice position.
What if someone doesn't pick up Udin's Gull?
Probably then going to pick up Udin's Gull.
Okay, and what are you still going to keep the same? Are you still going to?
Yeah, I'm still keep. Well, so I'm still going to keep the same.
Because then, in theory, you could argue if you keep Udin's Gull, you could also keep the Budgerigar. Then you've got the starting of a tuck chain in your waterlands.
Yeah. So interestingly, I'm not a huge fan of Budgerigar. I think it's Look, it's essentially a guaranteed point, which not all brown powers get you.
Yeah.
But I think it's probably a bird that when the expansion first came out, I think I was more of a fan of. But I think more recently, I've come around to the thought that I think an early brown power needs to get you stuff.
Yeah. If you
points.
are a 0 point bird, you need to be doing more than just getting me 1 point per activation.
Yeah.
Unless this is a no-goal game. I'm keeping it a no-goal game
Are you?
if I know I'm building a chain.
That's really interesting.
But in a 3-player game where I'm going second, that's the hardest version of the game in my opinion. It's the least number of freebies. Your pink powers get activated, some but not much. So I'm definitely keeping the Redstart. I'm probably keeping the Ruddy Duck reluctantly, depending on what's in the tray. I really dislike the Ruddy Duck. I really dislike the birds you have to discard a card at the end.
Oh, do you?
I find them quite frustrating.
Oh,
yeah.
really? That's interesting.
But my first go, if Udin's there, I'm obviously picking up Udin's. But if not, and assuming there's nothing good in the tray, I'm getting the grey butcherbird. I think it comes off surprisingly often.
Yeah.
And so what I do
yeah.
is my first go, pick up the grey butcherbird, play it in the trees, and then occasionally it will come off, but you only need to come off half the amount of times, don't you?
Yeah.
And then you've got enough food to play definitely the black Redstart. And you know what, probably would do the Ruddy Duck, because your target this game is to try and get maybe by the end of the first round, it's unlikely, but try and get 3 birds in 1 row. So
that's
black
tough.
Redstart.
But you're right. If you can, that's.
Well, you'd manage it if you kept the Budgerigar, wouldn't you? But I think at least if you get in that black Redstart, which is choose a habitat with no eggs, lay 1 egg on each bird in this habitat. I mean, that bird in theory is like a 12 egg bird by the end of the game.
Yeah.
It's gained you so many.
And not only that, but it's just I sometimes think in a game you need, unless you're building an egg chain, you need a mechanism of getting eggs that is not getting eggs.
Yeah,
and,
you're not wasting a turn, are
and
you?
usually, there are some brown powers that get you eggs. So, for example, tuck and lays in the water,
Yeah.
which are brilliant. But I think you need more than one
Yeah.
mechanism usually. However, black Redstart, I think that's it. That's
Yeah.
all you need. That gets you the eggs you need for the
Yeah,
game.
I'm also keeping the Eulogist for the exact same reason you say, because in theory, by the end of the final round, that black Redstart will get you 5 eggs, won't it? Because one of the habitats will have 5 birds
And you
no
almost
eggs
certainly
in
have
it.
some elsewhere.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. It's really it's very interesting. I actually think this is a fantastic hand.
Yeah.
Opening hand. I really like
Yeah.
it.
I can see that.
And a 0 point hand would be, I'd take that most games. Because
Yeah.
in theory, you're only ever going to keep 2 birds. Sometimes only ever keep 1 bird.
Yeah. Well, and I suppose the other way of thinking about it is, zero. All birds in the game are going to be looked at individually and powered individually, so that they all have some value. But by the game makers, and you would think surely 0 point birds, their most value is going to be in the powers that they give you, because they're strong powers or they're cheap birds, which actually really lends itself to round 1.
Yeah.
Are you ever gonna play a 0 point bird in round 4? So maybe a 0 point hand.
Speaking of, shall we move on to our... that's a little segue that I was not expecting to happen. Shall we move on to the worst performing bird in the world?
I would love that. I wonder how many points it's going to be.
No. Should we take a quick break and then stretch your legs or whatever you need to do, guys, and I'll tell you about the worst performing bird in the game after a break. How about that?
Absolutely, let's do it. So, bird of the week time, Adam. Go on, you've got one for me.
Yeah, I've got a good one for you. Well, bad one for you, actually. Before we go, actually, I've just remembered I would like to do a correction. Yeah, our first ever correction. Although we've made many mistakes.
Yeah, I know.
But this is a genuine connection. Last week we said the great crested grebe. They've changed it so that the bird faces the same way online. But then we were playing this weekend and we realised that it is facing the same way anyway.
Yeah.
It's actually... Do you know what bird it is off the top of your head?
It's a different grebe.
It's the common loon. It's the bird that the 2 beaks face the other way. So,
okay, common loon.
So you could say that we've been a pair of common loons for getting that one wrong.
Certainly been something, haven't we?
It's embarrassing.
Yeah,
It's embarrassing,
loons
isn't
to
it?
both of
Anyway,
us.
so if you want to turn off and go to, I don't know, the other Wingspan podcasts that there are, you're more than welcome.
Best of luck finding them.
Yeah, exactly. And also, please don't start one up. We need all the help we can get. Bird of the week, Aidan, and I'm combining it with stats. Remember last week we did the Monster Couch report? For those that don't remember, 500,000 games in it, right? And In the Monster Couch report, it listed the top 5 birds, the top 5 birds from each expansion, and also the bottom bird from each expansion, and the bottom bird overall. And the bottom bird overall, would you like to have a guess what you think it is?
Oh, so I have a real
Scratch my chin.
Real thing for play it sideways. It covers 2 spaces.
Yeah, that would be my guess.
Long-tailed tit, I think it is.
Yeah.
0 points does nothing.
I actually think that might be the lowest win percentage in one of the expansions. So you are right.
It is original, isn't it?
It's in the bottom sort of 5 birds or 10 birds of the game, which is not a place you want to be, is it?
It's atrocious.
The lowest bird is actually a bird we both love.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the spotted dove.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
We love this bird, don't we?
Is it?
Before we get into it, I'll explain it to the listener because it's another Asia bird that we're talking about. Yeah. But there will be a photo with a link to Imgur in the show notes because I've taken a photo of it already. Spotted dove. Do you want to read it, mate?
Yeah, go on. So, I think I know it. So the spotted dove, the spotted dove can live anywhere, which is very important to its power. It's a 0-point bird, costs a wheat. Has, I think, a stick nest, is that right? And it has a brown power, which is if this bird has no other bird to the right of it, you may move it to another player's player board, and you choose the habitat that you move it to.
So it's
either to the left or right.
Depending on which one it is. I think this one is...
this one says to the right, and then if you do that, you draw 3 cards.
Yeah.
So that is the draw, isn't it? That's the clincher. That's what makes you do it. That's like, oh yeah, please. And also, you're handing over a 0-point bird.
And this is the thing. I suppose you can argue that if you're playing it in a habitat where it fills the habitat for the person you're putting into, it stops them temporarily from putting a bird down there. But then all they're going to do is they're going to activate that habitat, which, let's be honest, if it's the 5th bird in that habitat, activating that habitat is probably not going to be such a bad thing for them because they are managing to activate the rest of the things in the habitat, plus gain all of the benefits of being in that final column in the first place when you activate it. And then they get to draw 3 cards. And it's not just 3 cards from the deck. You can draw from the tray as well. Yeah. And so I'm shocked to see it's the lowest win percentage bird.
But maybe that's the point, right? Maybe the point is that, so at the point you've made very rightly, is that if you're an opposition player and someone else plays this bird, I'm not gutted. It's going to make its way around to me, and I'm going to get an extra 3 points when I do. But
why is the fact that it then ends up, say, on player C's board? Why does that make them the loser? Maybe they've got the least number of activations from it.
Sorry, maybe I'm misunderstanding. I thought this was the lowest win percentage bird of the player who plays it, rather than the player who ends up with it.
No, because it'll be the player who ends up with it, because that's the player who scores it.
Oh, sorry, I'm misunderstanding.
And like for me, I've never minded it because I love it when I have it there. You're in complete control. Most of the time, people are going to play it in a habitat that they, I don't know. Quite often, let's say for example, they play it in your trees or play it in your fire. Then I can just save it there up until a point that I see a bird in the tray that I want to pick up, and I'll just activate that habitat.
Yeah.
And then I'll get it. And I don't mind also the alternative, which is you lock it in. You then put a bird the other side of it. Yeah. I don't think that's such a bad thing.
No, it's not. It's not.
At the end of the day, it's a stick's nest. It can live in multiple habitats.
Got a wheel.
And it's a bird, so it scores with different end of round goals. Yeah. So I'm just amazed that it's such a low win percentage.
I can see it might be low win percentage if you're the player playing it. So something I have thought about this bird is that it as you rightly said, having it on your board is not a bad thing. It scores you for end of rounds. It scores you for bonus cards. So if you end up with a round with it on there, or if you end the game with it on there, it's not a bad thing. But only one player on that table has paid something for it, and no one else has.
True.
So actually,
that player has taken a go. Yeah, haven't they?
They've taken a go. They've paid some food. They may have even paid an egg to get that bird down. Yeah. And everyone else is reaping the benefits.
That person should lose, doesn't it?
I think that's where my assumption came from.
Yeah, but the only thing I can think of is it's just that whoever's board it ends up on, they're the person who's had the least free cards from it. Yeah. Have you ever played with it online in the app? Because obviously all of these are app-based.
Yeah.
We are quite friendly when we use this bird, aren't we, in as a group?
Yeah.
We tend to say, where do you want it?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just put it in that habitat. I don't really mind.
Yeah, I have seen it used before where it has stopped someone, say the last go of the game, and it's landed in a habitat to fill it and stopped someone playing a big point bird. And I think that's where it can be a mean bird.
Yeah.
So I think that
that's a
really good
remarkably
parallel.
tactical final go, though, isn't it?
Oh,
For the person who's just using their final go to spite the other person.
I mean,
to what benefit? Unless they've got a good chain, you know. I mean, that's a very fortunate sort of serendipitous
I've only seen that
scenario
once.
to be in.
I've only seen that once.
You're about to mention the Fool, aren't you?
I was, yeah. So, those of you who are avid board gamers will may have played a board game called Everdell, which is another game that we like in our group, or some of us like in our group. And I really like this game. I think it's a really cool game. I think there's a lot of parallels to Wingspan in that you have your own kind of, I suppose, not aviary, but forest of creatures or village that you create.
Critters.
Forest
of critters.
That's it, critters. There's a card in that game called the Fool, and when the Asia expansion came out and the Spotted Dove was released, within our group we called it the Fool, because it's the Fool is another card which you move from your mat to another player's mat, and it has actually a negative points value associated with it.
Yeah.
And therefore it's kind of a play which is that you play specifically to negate someone else's game.
Yeah.
And I think when we initially saw this come out, we thought 0 point bird, you can purposely put it on someone else's map to negate their game.
Yeah.
But as we played it a bit more, it's not a fool, is it? Yeah. In fact, fool you for playing it in the first place because you detriment more than anyone else does, you know?
I think so. I think, you're exactly right. Yeah, I'm trying to think of a scenario I'd be happy to play it myself in. It's not that frequent. It's the games when I'm really struggling for card draw.
Exactly.
And I'm desperate for cards and you're on the back foot anyway, and so you just go digging, you know, those are the those are the games I'd probably be most inclined.
And it could be a spicy play. If you're in round one and you're struggling for cards, and then you slap it down in your forest or your fire.
If I put that down in round one and then what are you thinking? You're thinking, oh yes, 3 cards in the entire game. You're thinking high scores.
Which maybe is why it's not particularly high win percentage bird.
Yeah, okay. Well, write in, let us know what you think about this bird. Comments, we'll take them anywhere apparently.
Yeah.
Imgur. Spotify.
You can post them to us.
Amazon Music.
Yeah.
We'll be on YouTube Music.
YouTube
in about
Music.
48 hours.
Yeah.
There are so many places you can email. And fulltappodcast@gmail.com.
As always.
And whilst I'm here, I would just like to mention one very sweet email we've had from Kev about our bird of the week last week, the white-browed tit warbler. Kev, at the time of listening to this podcast this time last week, was playing a 3-player game, I believe, with yourself, Aidan.
It was,
And another of our regular commenters, Paul, and he was just basically explaining in the email how he made that bird won him the game.
Yeah,
And he won every single nectar.
He controlled it.
He controlled it,
Exactly.
which is even more impressive in a 3-player game as well. And I believe he's on quite a run of form against you, Aidan, isn't he?
Unbelievably. Yeah. He's just
4
won
in a
4 in a row.
4 in a row.
It's,
Easy peasy.
he's absolutely smashing us at the moment.
Yeah.
So well done, Kev.
Yeah.
Absolutely killing it. I will also say, as an aside, Kev, so Kev I know has a permanent game of Wingspan, physical game, set up on his dining table at home that never gets put away.
Oh, that's incredible.
Which is just up there permanently.
Yeah.
He's a real big Wingspan player.
The amount of times, I'm not going to say where they live because it's a podcast, but
No.
the amount of times I've got to a train recently which has stopped at their train station.
Yeah.
The amount of games I've missed out on there. Unbelievable, that is. That's gutting.
So yeah, brilliant stuff, and thank you all for writing in. Let
Especially
us know
Kev, let me know whenever you beat Aidan. I love hearing about that. That's great. So we can talk about it because clearly we've got something in common.
Oh, right. Anyway,
do you want to move on?
Yeah, I do. All right, this is something I wanted to talk about it's been on my list since we started the pod, which is not necessarily an individual bird, but it's more kind of a category of power. Round end powers, I think we can both agree is something we both love. I think a game where you've just got like a set of them, it just feels like everyone else is done and they just wait for you to do a load more stuff at the end of your round. It's brilliant.
I feel very smug when I've got a load that work in combination.
It's like in Terraforming Mars when you're the only one left in the gen. It's brilliant. Sorry for the niche comment for anyone who's not a TM fan, but if you're not, you should be.
Yeah, we could do a TM spin-off podcast. Although
hey, look,
I don't know very much.
Save
TM.
No, we don't. I don't feel as knowledgeable. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked. So if you have listened to all 4 episodes...
in your head, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've been rattled.
We're getting distracted. Anyway, so the power, or kind of group of powers I wanted to talk about today is, if you've used all 4 actions this round, X, 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 X. And I think the original of this power was, if you've used all 4 actions this round, play another bird. Of which there are a couple, maybe 3, I think. So Moltoni's warbler,
Willy Wagtail.
I think it's the white
wagtail,
and the yellowhammer. So there are 3 birds that do this. So what do you think? What are your thoughts on these powers?
I love these birds, and I love these birds because my style leans away from engine building.
Yeah.
I am not an engine builder.
Yeah.
I like to favour big point birds, and bonus cards probably is my style of play. And so actually most rounds I will use all 4 actions. And even if I'm only using 3 of the 4 actions, if I've got one of these birds, I'm happy to use the last action,
of course,
to facilitate the free, what I would consider free go. And the games where you can get one of these birds out in your first or second round, 4 free birds or 3 free birds, you often end up filling your board. Big fans of them. It's interesting. Well, I would say, because I played a few games with you, I think recently, where you haven't picked it up because you've already curated quite a good water chain.
Yeah, and I think that's the tricky. So I mean, it's a power that instantly is completely anti-chain.
Yeah.
You know, it's like as soon as you've got that down, or if you've got a chain down.
Yeah.
Then they just don't marry up. But I love it. I think if you've got one of those in round 1 or even round 2, you just like your total outlook on the game changes in a way that I don't think any other bird does. But it does. Your approach to that game does.
Yeah.
You know, suddenly your approach to that game is, right, how do I make sure I use all 4 actions in the most efficient, effective, and powerful way, and ensure I have all the resources that I need to play a bird that I want to play and have that bird in my hand at the end of each round.
So Harriet, my partner, also absolutely loves them. And when you see, it will be one of those games when it's in your opening hand where you smugly look over the other person and go, I've got a great hand here.
Yeah.
You know those games. Those games. How do you play against it?
I mean, I'm not sure there's a lot you can do, and maybe that's another of the strengths of it is...
I don't know. Go on.
No, well, you clearly have something in mind.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think because to me, you're spreading your actions. I suppose one thing you can do is, if for example, in a 2-player game, you can really keep an eye on the other players playing cubes, and if you know towards the end of a round that they need to get food, but there's not desirable food in the food tray, that you really make sure you don't give them the opportunity.
The way I've always thought about it, and I mean it's less relevant by the last round, because they will probably have a bird that they want to play already, but let's say they need to pick up birds, for example, and you can see it's getting to the last 2 goes, and you can see that they need to pick up birds. I will do absolutely everything I can to not reset the bird tray or take a bird from the tray, because in taking a bird from the tray, you risk giving them a lovely bird that they can play. So that's the thing that I would try and tend to do. I would always keep an eye on the person to my left and see what goes they've got left. I wouldn't change my game for it, because ultimately the game, you don't do well looking at other players. You do well looking at your own board in this game, but it's something that I always keep in mind when at least the person next to me is playing that. And also, it's particularly important then to not give freebies in those games as well, because particularly so.
You're just giving stuff, but it's hard to avoid, and I think with more recent expansions, there have been a few more birds that have come out which have just like compounded the power of this multiple round.
They're good when you get them in combination. What's the one you're
there's a couple of other birds that have a similar, if you've used 4 actions, teal round end power. So the grey wagtail is, if you've used all 4 actions, gain 2 food. So if you've got that in combination with a play another bird one, you've just got instantly the food that you need to play the bird that you want. And then there's another one, the black-naped oriole, which is, if you've used all 4 actions, gain 1 food, 1 egg, 1 card. Imagine if you've all 3 of those down.
What was the middle one, the first one you mentioned there, the one which
the grey wagtail,
where you get 2 foods?
Yeah.
I don't know what I think about that bird, because you obviously want to be getting nectars, but you can't get nectars unless you are able to combine it with another blue power where you use the nectars, because the moment you pick up those nectars, you're going to have to throw them away. So I'm not entirely convinced what I think about that bird, and I'd only ever play it if I had another blue power, where I knew I'd use the nectar immediately, because that bird's probably not worth playing if each time I'm just going to pick up a cherry and a wheat, for example, because I'd be much better off waiting till the next round and getting the food, getting the nectar, and competing the end of round goal. However, in combination with one of those birds that allows me to throw away the food, even let's say it's the... I'm going to have to name one here. Eurasian collared dove, where you have to discard any 5 food to tuck a card, to tuck that many cards on the deck. Then it becomes a very powerful bird. But yeah, agreed. Combined with if you have 4 different types of bird, so if you've used all 4 actions, play another bird. Woof, what a card.
Exactly. And also...
What about if you got 2 of them?
So, I was going to ask you this. So, I think 2 of them is... It actually, I mean, obviously, so it compounds the power, right? So the challenge of these birds is you have to use all 4 actions, and therefore you can't spin a particular.
Well, the challenge is the resources, I think. Actually, the challenge is making sure you have number 1 a bird that you want to play, and number 2 the right food. I think it's a challenge for resources.
So it's even more of a challenge if you've got 2 of them down, because then you need to play 2 birds at the end of the round. You need to have the resources to play 2 birds. Which I think is really difficult.
So I've done it once or twice, and the times that I've done it, I've played, say, this. I will have used it in the first round, then in the second round, its use will be to have played the other one. And then that other one, let's say I've had the white wagtail, I'll then play the yellow hammer. I'll then be able to activate the yellow hammer. So in that one, you're having 3 goes, aren't you, in theory? But from then on, I suppose late game, you do have a few more free foods floating around, don't you? But
in theory,
really challenging to make them both work every single time. I find, and it's something I would say I tend to avoid if I see a second one in the tray.
I think it's hard to make it work. It's hard to make it work, and it's hard to make it work. You're almost tempted to make it work for the sake of making it work. And
it's a good story, isn't it?
At the detriment of other things. I think there's other birds that work well with it as well. So there's like other teal round end powers like the brambling or the ruddy shell duck, which give you the ability to draw more cards at the end of the round. And then, tuck some of I think the ruddy shell duck in particular, you get to look at 5 cards. So that in combination, you say you need resources or you need a card that you actually want to play at the end of the round. If you've got one of those down as well, you get to look at, and you essentially give yourself a free look and find a decent card.
I would say the blue powers are my favourite type of powers in the game for this very reason, because you can just really get this real nice synergy, and you get free stuff without feeling like you're taking a go.
And I mean, turns are ultimately the only finite resource in the game. You only have a certain number of turns in the game, and therefore birds that essentially give you an extra turn or an extra few turns if you play them early. That is powerful.
You combine this with a no-goal game and think about the number of goes and birds that you're getting.
They become astonishingly powerful.
Perhaps we should do a no-goal game for our opening hand.
Love that.
This week. Should we do that?
My favourite type of game.
Shall we take a break before we come on to this massive Wingspan news, shall we?
I know. I think we need to compose ourselves and get ready.
See you in a minute. Welcome back to Full Tuck, the Wingspan podcast, and newsflash. It's not 1 expansion in the next 6 months, it's 2 expansions.
It's more than that. I mean, technically, 7.
7 expansions. For the listener, surprise announcement. It was a reasonably surprise announcement, wasn't it?
I think so. I mean, I think they've been. I feel like I've heard rumours of this fan designed, packs for a while. So they maybe been drip feeding it, but certainly it's felt like it's just come like bang, boom, like here we go.
So to their eternal credit, Stonemaier Games have listened to the fans, and they've always had a form where players can submit birds for future expansions, or just birds that they think should be in the game. And clearly there have been so many submitted that Stonemaier Games have, with a few expert play testers, have decided to playtest some, formalise them, and turn them into real birds. And so now there are going to be 6 mini expansions, each with 25 cards in them,
Yeah.
and it's going to be birds of not really continents as such, but different areas. So, for example, the first one that was teased was birds of Canada. Then there's a birds of New Zealand, isn't there?
Yeah.
Birds of continental Europe we've seen so far.
Yeah, I think, and there's going to be a few more, but they are specifically birds from regions or continents that have already been covered in expansions that are released already. So we're not covering new land, as it were. We're not covering those continents that
Additional
expansions to come.
Asian avians is the fourth one
There
that
you
we've
go,
seen so
yeah.
far, and I mean, so that's, and there's still 2 more to be covered, aren't
Yeah,
there?
yeah,
So
yeah.
so each of them is going to have 25 birds in them. So in total, and so they're not expecting you to buy all of them. I think I will.
Yeah.
That's 150 new birds.
Yeah.
Isn't it? That is 25. Yeah, 150 new birds.
150 new birds.
That's 1 in 5 birds in the game will be from this expansion
I
pack,
know.
which is, my God, it's bigger than any of the expansions we've had so far.
Yeah,
isn't it?
I think it's great. I think I think it's really nice that fans are being involved in the game. It's obviously a game that
Yeah.
has a huge fan base,
Yeah.
and people that are very loyal to the game and have been
2
for
million
years.
copies sold. Is what I think. So 2 million
So
copies.
We're talking about an enormous fan base,
Yeah.
and
We're not tapping into 2 million people at the moment from our listening
we're
numbers.
not on this pod yet. I think we're on the brink.
We're on the cusp, are we? To the rest of you millions of people who still need to listen, where are you? Yeah,
We'll get to you. We'll find you.
One day we'll get to you. Or
Well,
one day our reach will get deeper.
But look, I think it's brilliant. We've got all these enthusiastic fans who let's be honest, are probably come up with some creative, brilliant ideas.
But I'm not going to cope. I'm not going to go. 150 new birds in October, and then in some point between January and March, I'm going to have probably a whole new 90 new birds and probably a new mechanic or something in the game.
Well, Adam, here's an opportunity
Yeah.
for you to develop some self-discipline and not buy all 6 of the new fan-designed expansions all at once.
Do you think you're going to trickle by them?
No, but I'm suggesting that would solve your problem of having it all at once.
If we could, I mean, I don't think we've got the time to talk about this today. I think maybe next week we should just do a deep dive into the different expansions.
We've got to. We've got to.
Can I just briefly mention some of the birds at the moment, maybe 1 or 2, because
on.
they're all pretty unique powers so far. So the probably one of the, or 2 of the most exciting ones I've seen, the Barley Starling, which is from the additional Avians pack. When played, draw 1 new bonus card, then up to 3 times discard the most recently drawn bonus card to draw 1 new bonus card. I'll say that again. When played, draw 1 new bonus card, then up to 3 times discard that most recently drawn bonus card to draw 1 new bonus card. It's incredible.
I love that. It's a push your luck
For bonus cards. It's incredible. And then you'd be
Brilliant.
like, oh, but should I have stuck? Should I have twisted? I just think that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
And then I don't want to get into all of this.
No,
Let's
come
do that
on,
next
let's
week.
leave it. But I love the concept.
They've leaked 8 birds so far.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2 birds per the 4 packs. Every single bird has been quite powerful.
Yeah.
Every single bird has introduced something different. I really hope the game stays balanced. You need to have the run-of-the-mill birds that just get you the witch tea,
Yeah.
rather than every single bird now doing something crazy or funky.
Yeah, and
So I really hope there's going to be some run-of-the-mill birds in there as well.
I suppose that what I'd say is that I can't really see fans designing powers that
No.
are just gain a witch tea or just gain
Agreed.
a wheat. And actually, if you look at the way that, say, Asia and Oceania expansions were released, that the powers that were released in those games are not really powers like that. They're a bit more interesting. It's a bit more interactive between players, or it's if the player to your right has done this, or if the last player has done this, or if you've got this already in your supply. So, the kind of types of powers and the way that you're interacting with the game is becoming more diverse anyway.
Yeah.
And I suspect it's going to be the same in these fan packs. I also I trust.
I was just about to say. I was literally just about to say.
Go on, yeah.
I trust Stonemaier to the end of the earth. I'm sure it's all balanced. I'm sure it's. I'm sure it will still keep that sort of. I'm sure it will be fine.
And
Time will
there's
tell.
that assurance in James' post about it. He mentions that these are not just randomly selected, that they've been looked at, and they've been looked at by Lizzie Greaves in the context of all
Does
the
she
birds
mind you
that
calling
they-
her that?
I've never asked her,
Okay.
but, let's hope so.
Lizzie, if you're listening, please let us know.
Yeah.
Lizzie, Elizabeth.
Elizabeth Hargreaves.
Mrs. Hargreaves.
Is she a Mrs.? I don't know. Anyway,
Mum.
we're getting so...
Give the lady some respect.
Absolutely. So she deserves all the respect. This podcast wouldn't exist without her. So, but I trust that she has made it balanced, and I trust that even though some of the ones advertised so far feel very powerful, that I think it will be balanced. I can't. It's not in their interests to just allow a flock of new bird cards into the game. That just overpower all the existing birds.
We don't have cameras on the podcast yet, but Aidan just winked at me when he did the flock joke. One day we'll start filming.
Yeah. Maybe when we get better haircuts.
Keep the winks to yourself.
Right.
I think next week let's talk about it in detail, because there's so much content. Yeah,
100%.
let's do that, because we're running out of
to.
time this week, and we still got to do our opening hand for next week, don't we?
No time like the present, Adam.
No time like the present. So let's go for a no goal game.
Yeah, I love it.
4-player, no goal.
Yeah.
You are going first, so the tray is up to you. Okay?
The tray is up to
4-player, no goal. You go first. Big scores are possible.
So, as always, you've been dealt 5 birds. The 5 birds we've got this week are the rose-breasted grosbeak, which is a bird that lives in the forest, eats a witchetty grub, wheat and a cherry, 6 points, bowl nest, 3 egg capacity, brown when activated power, gain a wheat or a cherry from the bird feeder if there is one. The rainbow lorikeet, which lives in the forest, eats a cherry and a nectar, 1 point, cavity nest, 2 egg capacity, brown when activated power, discard 1 nectar to the spent nectar space for your forest. If you do, gain 2 foods from the bird feeder. The violet green swallow, which lives anywhere, eats 2 witchetty grubs, 3 bird points, cavity nest, 3 egg capacity, brown when activated flocking power, tuck 1 card from your hand behind this bird. If you do, draw 1 card. Bell's vireo, which lives in either the forest or the fire, also eats 2 witchetty grubs, 4 bird points, star nest, 2 egg capacity, bonus card when played power, draw 2 new bonus cards and keep 1. And finally the burrowing owl, which lives in the fire, eats a witchetty and a rat, 5 bird points, star nest, 4 egg capacity, brown predator when activated power, roll all dice not in the bird feeder. If any are rats, gain 1 rat and cash it on this bird.
Lovely stuff, good reading, thank you. Our 2 bonus cards, Forest Ranger, which is consecutive birds in the trees with ascending or descending scores, and it's important to note here that 2 scores are the same in a row do not count. And then Wetland Population Monitor, which is different nest types in your water. So it's Forest Ranger, consecutive birds in the trees with ascending or descending scores, and Wetland Population Monitor, different nest types in the water. And then in the tray, you are going first. The Spotted Towhee. This is a bird that can live in the fire or the trees. It costs a witchetty, a wheat or a cherry. 0 points. Rock's nest, 4 egg capacity. When activated, brown power, gain 1 wheat from the supply. Second is the southern cassowary. They can only live in the trees. It costs 2 cherries and an anything, 4 points. Also a rock's nest, also 4 egg capacity. When played, discard a bird from your trees and put this bird in its place. Do not pay an egg cost. If you do, lay 4 eggs on this bird and gain 2 cherries from the supply. And then lastly, one of the most gorgeous birds in the game, the trumpeter swan, only lives in the water. It costs you 2 wheats and an anything. It's 9 points. Also a rock's nest, 2 egg capacity, doesn't have a power because it's just it's a no power bird.
It's a no power bird. And then we've got end of round goals. So as mentioned, round 1 is no goal. Round 2 is white or no powers. Round 3 is sets of 3 eggs in your 3 habitats. And round 4 is cards in hand.
Okay. How can they tell us what they would do, Aidan?
So they can email us at fulltuckpodcast@gmail.com.
fulltuckpodcast@gmail.com.
They can comment on the Spotify.
Comment on the Spotify.
They can comment on Apple Music.
On Apple Music.
They can comment on YouTube Music.
YouTube.
You've got one more for me?
Amazon
Music. There you go. So
and as some very resourceful listeners have been doing, Imgur. We'll take any comments. We love them.
You can come up to us in the street and let us know if you want. You can pass us notes across the classroom like naughty kids.
It's time to end,
whatever you want to do.
Yeah. We thank you for the engagement, guys, and thank you for listening, and have a great week. We will see you next week.
See you then.